Hi there, I'm Sian Holderness, and welcome to Health Unravelled. I'm a nutritionist, counsellor, and eating psychology coach, and in my almost decade of experience in the health industry, have seen far too many women and men become consumed with weight loss, only to end up yo-yo dieting with disordered eating patterns and impinge and restrict cycles. This just breaks my heart, so I'm here to unravel everything you thought you knew about health and yourself, to help you start putting the pieces of the puzzle together and begin the process of aligning your mind, body, and soul, creating a happier, healthier you. So let's dive straight in. Hello, beautiful human, and welcome back to another episode of Health Unravelled. You may have noticed there was a little week break in between this episode and the last episode, and that is because we moved house and have had no internet. We still don't, but we figured out actually where we can hotspot our phones because we have no reception either. So we found a little spot where we can actually hotspot our phone and do all our work that way, which has been very fun to say the least. But I hope your last 2 weeks since I was last in your ears has been amazing. I really loved the episode, the previous episode number 34, and I had some incredible feedback from it, so I really appreciate that. Today I have pulled, it's my first card pull for a little while, and I've pulled the Nine of Hearts out of the Gaia Oracle card deck. If you don't have this card deck, I absolutely love it. I will take recommendations for new decks as well because I'm pretty attached to the two that I have. And I haven't found any that feel right for me yet, apart from these two. But I've pulled a card called the Nine of Hearts, and it says fulfillment, harmony, protection. This card signifies success, emotional fulfillment, and wisdom. Something that is dear to you or something that you're working towards has a positive outcome. This leads to a period of peace and harmony and a deep sense of personal satisfaction and emotional fulfillment. That which you strive to create and achieve is granted, and all is protected along the way. The light shines upon you. All is blessed. You can move forward with confidence. And the affirmation that goes with this card, oh, I love this so much. I am blessed. I am protected. I am grateful. I am fulfilled. I am love. I love these so much. I seriously do. I was questioning whether to continue doing them, but every time I release a new episode, I get multiple messages telling me how the card has resonated with that person. So I know that the message is going out there, and it's so interesting to know how the different messages resonate for each person as well. So today I want to talk about a little bit of a different topic within health, and this is something that has been so closely related with self-sabotage behavior, but we don't actually realize how they are linked, and that is the link between perfectionism, people-pleasing, and self-sabotage behavior. Now, I will be the first to put my hand up and say I am a recovering perfectionist and a recovering people pleaser through and through. That is me. I spent many years of my life not doing things properly, or actually not doing things at all because I wanted to do them properly, I should say. And people pleasing, doing whatever suits everyone else around me, bending my own boundaries, or actually never putting boundaries up in the first place to keep other people around me happy. And over the last 5 years, I've really shifted to be aware of that and change that and uphold my boundaries because they're so important. And this is why I'm so passionate about sharing this message with other people as well. So I'm going to start off by talking about perfectionism and some traits that you may see in your health if you're a perfectionist. And many clients that I have worked with over time, they actually don't realize how much of a perfectionist they are until we start making these links, which is so funny. It's so very interesting. So some signs that you are a perfectionist are that you are a huge procrastinator. And you might think procrastination isn't like that the opposite to being a perfectionist. They are best friends. Procrastination and perfectionism are best of friends. And chances are you will see this in your health journey as the all or nothing mindset. I can't even tell you how many times clients have said to me, I just need a plan. I'm an all or nothing person. So when I have a plan, I'm fine. And I'm like, I bet you are until you're not. And then they're not. And then we have to work through that, because the aim isn't to be an all or nothing person. The aim with health is to create this level of balance and this baseline of basic health as your foundation. You don't want your foundations to be rocky and shaky, and this is where those pillars of health come in, which is in a previous episode if you want to go back and listen to that. But generally with perfectionists, particularly in health, those foundations are not there, because when you're on, and when you're off, you are off. Now, to give a bit of an example of this, if you've listened to the last episode, you would know the chaos that has been the last 6 weeks. And trust me when I tell you, it's been continuing. There's been so many moments where I've turned around, I'm like, universe, I've had enough. But this is to be our journey, and that's okay. We will navigate it as it comes. But through, my husband having his Achilles tendon ruptured, not being on his feet, having Charlie home, being out of routine, only being able to go to the gym when creche is open. What else has happened? Moving house. Throughout that period, we know what to do to maintain our health through that period of time. And so for me, that does include not going to gym, but that doesn't mean I'm like, okay, now I've got to find the motivation to go back, because I'm actually quite excited to go back. But 2 weeks off of gym, in the grand scheme of my whole life, really, it is what it is. I was still moving. I was still active. I was lifting boxes and packing, and I hit like 20-something thousand steps the day that we moved house. We've still been walking. I've been walking the dogs and doing walk and talk therapy as well. So my health foundations, the baseline for my health didn't shift. There was some things that I haven't been doing that generally as a part of my day-to-day or week-to-week. I still do, but I didn't kind of neglect my health and then have to go on this like massive hunt for motivation to get it back again. And that never used to be me. I used to be quite the opposite. And I've heard stories from clients so many times around, one thing happens, one thing throws you out of routine, and all of a sudden it feels like, you're back to square one, and you have to find all this motivation again to do all of the things that you were doing before. And you end up spending more time off track than on track, because every time you go off track, the effort it requires to go back on track again gets harder and harder and harder. So the aim there is to actually create a baseline that you're happy with. This is actually one of the a part of the whole aim of Health Basics for Busy Humans, right, is to learn to create those baselines, those foundations that help you live the life that you want to live. Now, don't get me wrong, we didn't eat the way we normally eat, but what we did do is we ordered meals to be delivered to help us through that period of time, for example. Because although I can say, okay, I'm not going to train, I also know that my body doesn't function very well if I'm missing meals, not getting in enough protein, not getting in my fruits and vegetables. So that for me is non-negotiable. That might be different for you. But that is what creating this balance has done for me from perfectionism and procrastination, because it's that procrastination that leads to the all or nothing cycle. And so with self-sabotage, when you're a perfectionist and something goes wrong, something gets in your way, your routine shifts the tiniest little bit, that self-sabotage streak comes in. It's like, oh, it's not the perfect circumstances, so I'm just going to give up now. And you start to get into that like when then mentality. That's what I call it, the when then. So when this is over, then it will be easier. When that happens, then I can do this. And certainly there's times where you can do that, but my suggestion is just to be mindful of how long you let that go on for, because life isn't linear. I don't know about you, but I know for me, things are constantly changing, routines constantly shifting and changing, and the perfectionist in me does not like that. I like certainty, I like structure, I like routine, but I've had to develop ways to navigate that world so that I don't fall victim to it and then kind of think, poor old me, things keep going wrong. I had to blend with it and overcome and adapt, which is what I'm all about. So that is perfectionism. What about people pleasing? People pleasing is super interesting. As I mentioned already, I used to have zero boundaries because I was always pleasing other people and I never wanted to let anyone down. And that became to my detriment. And you know, the saying, you teach people how to treat you. Well, I was allowing people to walk all over me, and that's not their fault because I didn't have my boundaries up in the first place. And it's up to me to uphold them, right? Now, when you're people pleasing, this is a link that I've seen particularly in my one-on-one counseling clients, is this huge sense of not feeling worthy. And oftentimes these clients are huge people pleasers and they struggle to make time for themselves or feel worthy of time for themselves or feel worthy of success. And you create this whole self-sabotage cycle around fear of success, around not giving yourself the time that you need, around kind of giving up because you don't feel worthy of having what you want or doing the things that make you feel better. And with people pleasing, it can be huge that you start putting yourself, or don't start because that's how it's always been, right? When you're a people pleaser, you're last on your list if you're on your list at all because everyone else is more important than you. And again, this is huge in Health Basics for Busy Humans. There's a whole section on self-care, and self-care isn't always like face masks and massages, you know? Self-care is prioritizing time for you, and it's not me first, it's me too, because you are an equally important person in your life. And how dare you show up as less than what you're capable of? You know, how dare you show up a half version of you in your life? And that might sound a bit mean and rude, but the reason I word it that way is specifically because people pleasers feel like it's more important to keep everyone else happy, but what ends up happening is you end up giving everyone a false version of yourself or a half version of yourself, and that isn't fair for you, for your life outcomes, or for the people around you. And so really there's no other way to word it that will resonate with a person who feels like they're doing best for everyone else by putting them before themselves, because I can tell you firsthand you're not. And if you don't create that time for yourself, the universe will try and create it for you. And that happened to me when I got hit quite a few years ago now with chronic fatigue. And I didn't look after myself. I wasn't doing my self-care. I was trying to please my boss. I was trying to please my clients. And I was trying to please social media. I was trying to do all these things. And I ended up getting hit so hard with this wave of chronic fatigue that it like really knocked me for six. And I really had to start then reassessing where I was going. And so people pleasing becomes this huge part in the self-sabotage cycle, and again leads to like that when they're better, then I'll focus on me. When they're this, then I'll do that. But will you though? But will you really? So this is how perfectionism and people pleasing have huge links with self-sabotage, and the things that I see so often. This is exactly why I created Health Basics for Busy Humans. If this resonated with you, then Health Basics for Busy Humans literally is perfect for you. In that it will help you navigate your time, your money, your energy, and your you time. So your self-care and your health in a way that doesn't take away from everything else, but rather actually gives back to it more so. So it becomes an investment. What you get out of it is more than what you invest in. So I would love for you to check that out. The link will be in the show notes as always. I would love to hear your feedback from this episode, from the card reading. Just message me on Instagram at the Holistic Health Counsellor, and any topic requests you have as well. I would love to know if there's anything in particular you'd love me to talk about here. I cannot wait to see you again in the next episode. It's so good to be back in my new office. My view from my window is just beautiful. They're literally like building a lake that I'll be able to go walk around right outside our front door. It's fucking incredible if I do say so myself. And it's got like perfect walking tracks now for my walk and talk clients too, which is absolutely beautiful. I do want to note though that for walk and talk, you don't actually have to be here with me. With walk and talk therapy, you can walk and I can walk and we can talk at the same time without being in the same space. So I will leave that with you and I will chat to you next time. If you loved this episode, please let me know by leaving me a review or sharing this with your friends. It's so important for me to get this information out to those that need to hear it. So your feedback means the absolute world to me. And also if you have any topic requests, hit me up with them too.